Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to driving in the USA for the first time, see what's different. And I mean, I guess there's going to be things to do with like the side of the road you drive on, even the side of the steering wheel and all the other things in the car. I don't know exactly what other details he'll go into. Maybe he'll go into other sort of aspects of the differences between the US and other countries, but we're going to check this out. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. If you want more reactions like this, as I always say, suggest it in the comments. Oh, fuck. Started like that. Links are in the description to my Instagram, my Twitter for those who want to follow me. Same for my Patreon. Links are there. But let's just get into this, man.
Hi, I'm Mike with MikeTravelGuide.com, and about a year ago I produced a video showing me driving in the UK for the first time. And since then I got a lot of questions and comments.
He's done one in the UK? Oh, voice crack. Maybe I have to check that one out as well.
From that video. And one question I got...
Even though I know what it is like in the UK, but I mean in terms of like seeing an American's point of view. I'll probably just see that in my own time.
That was from Kim in Australia. She asked me if I could produce a video for driving in the US for the first time. And that's what we're going to do today.
The only reason I feel like I could somewhat get used to this is because of GTA. Because, I mean, I say that, I don't drive on the right side of the road in GTA anyway, which might be because I'm so used to the
this video's
British driving rules, but I do obviously see in GTA it goes one way, and because I play that game quite a lot, that's my way of learning, I guess. But in person, it must be so weird. Imagine you lived in the UK for like 25 years, you've driven for 30 years, and you've driven for 10 of those years, and then you move to the US and you're driving there. It must be so weird to get used to these differences, man. Also, what happens, like... Nah. If you want to, like... This is going to be a stupid-ass question. If you want to, like, keep your car, you've got a really nice car, but then you move to the US, what happens there? Do you just have to sell the car and then get a new one, or does the company give you a replacement, a US version? Like, how does that work?
It's not about me driving in the US for the first time. It's about other people coming here driving in the US for the first time. One thing, if you're from the UK or if you're from Australia, you're going to be driving on the opposite side of the road, which means everything in the car is going to be pretty much on the opposite side. The steering wheel will be on the opposite side of the car. Your gear shifter is going to be to your right, not to your left. Your mirror is going to be kind of facing towards the left-hand side, and everything's a little bit different. So when you're looking for oncoming traffic, you know, in the UK I had to look on this side, in the US I have to look.
Shit, I didn't even think about it like that. You even have to get used to the bloody directions you look at and stuff. For the first time driving in the US, that must be such a daunting sort of thing for someone from Australia or from the UK or from any other countries that drive in that side of the road. It must be such a weird thing. Like, you just looking this way, and you're like, oh shit, there's cars coming this way. What the fuck's going on?
My rearview mirror on this side. And in my other video, driving in the UK for the first time, I gave a few suggestions. The first of which was I highly recommended renting a car with an automatic transmission. And here in the US, it's almost impossible to rent a car with a stick shift. So you don't have to worry. If you're going to rent a car here, it's going to have an automatic transmission. And I also would recommend that you get a car with air conditioning. But again, unless you're renting from a place like Rent-A-Wreck, you're going to get a car with a functioning air conditioning. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. Now, I did also recommend in my last video that you get a sat-nav or bring a sat-nav along. And here, for most places, that's not really necessary.
In the US, I mean, it probably would be more needed for sure, because there's so many. If you're going on like big road trips as well.
I mean, in some circumstances it might be. If you're traveling, let's say, to a lot of specific places, let's say on a sales job, you could have a benefit by having a sat-nav. But if you are just kind of coming for a normal trip, the rental agency will give you a map. And if you study that map for about 5 or 10 minutes and learn where the major interstates and highways run, you're going to be just fine. In fact, that information from that map is going to get you at least 90% of the way there. The last portion, you know, you can just use your iPhone to find a specific restaurant where your hotel is located or a specific address. So,
or you could just use your iPhone as sat-nav. I suppose that's just what people do nowadays, isn't it? And this is like quite an old, 4 or 4 or 5 years old, so I think maybe it wasn't a thing.
All in all, driving here is really very easy compared to driving in other locations. Now, there are some differences. One difference is that we have the ability to make a right-hand turn on a red light. So that means if you pull up to a red light and you're turning right, you'll have to stop, but then you can turn right on a red light.
I didn't know that.
Another thing what we have is you can make a left-hand turn at a red light as long as you're on a one-way street and you're turning on a one-way street.
Wow. Okay. New information to me.
An additional item that we have that's also a little bit strange and different is that we have four-way stops. And a four-way stop is stop signs at an intersection and everyone has to stop. In other words, no one has a right of way. And the first person to come to the stop sign goes first. And then, of course, if you're there second, you go second, so on and so forth. Now, there are some things I really want to warn you about. One thing are school zones. School zones really slow you down. And in fact, some people would say, wow, that's really, really slow. In fact, they slow you down sometimes to 15 or 20 miles per hour. And they're normally active when kids are going to school or getting out of school. And the reason I'm telling you this, of course, it's important not to hurt the kids, but you want to know, because if you get fined in the school zone, the fine is normally double the normal fine.
Oh,
so,
wow. Okay.
And cops are very active in school zones because it's easy targets, because it's easy to miss. Now, another thing about speeding, as long as you...
Little cheeky way to get their money, get a bit more money, right? I mean, fair enough. I mean, I guess it makes sense because, you don't want kids being hurt or whatever, or being injured or whatever from reckless drivers, but it's a bit cheeky from the cops there, but, I mean, what else do you expect?
Stay with traffic, you should be okay when driving in the U.S. In other words, if you're not driving faster than everyone else, you'll probably be safe. I highly recommend that you don't speed, at least speed aggressively, and get a ticket. In the U.S., we don't have a lot of speed cameras. We have cops on the sides of the road waiting to give people tickets.
And as soon as they see you driving too quick, they're off and they're chasing you. That's such an American thing, especially in like films and stuff. Didn't know if that was actually the case, but I guess it is. I don't think that really happens in the UK. Again, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is just cameras and things that sort of time your speed, and then they'll sort of check your number plate, etc., and then just sort of be able to track it from there. Obviously, there probably will be scenarios where police will speed check people and stuff, but...
And cops in the U.S. are not nice people. Cops are normally bullies. They're normally very rude and very aggressive. And they're there to fine you or to put you in jail. So I'd highly recommend avoid any type of conflict or situation where you're dealing with police. Just stay away from police in the U.S. They are not there to help you. So the other thing I want to say is that all in all, driving in the U.S. is very, very easy. There's ample space.
It's made for driving in the US.
There's lots of turning lanes where you turn off, and you can actually get out of traffic. There's also the ability, if you miss your turn, where you can easily turn around and or make a U-turn or get off the street you're driving on. So all in all, driving is very easy here, and most people will find it a fun experience. Well, that's it for this episode.
Again, like I realised, the US is a country and the cities are specifically made for driving, so it actually does make sense that it would be a lot easier and just probably a lot more enjoyable to drive in a city or in a state in the US, because it's just a lot more accessible and more functionable. Like you can, again, if you miss a turn, you can just turn at the next wherever it is down the road, however further down the road, instead of having to drive all the way down like the highway or whatever, or down the street and then have to turn back. I guess it's just a lot easier in the US, which is actually a thing I didn't really think about before, but it's cool to see. As a German, it gives me goosebumps seeing faster cars driving on the right side of the road. I'm from the UK and I have a simple 4-word mantra that I use when driving in Europe. Drive right, look left. I just repeat it to myself when I get confused. For some people, comments in the UK... Wait, for some people, comments... In UK, turning right on a red would just be dangerous. However, turning left on a red would be the equivalent. But we usually get a left filter green arrow, or they just build a roundabout and have no lights. Yeah, I guess that's the difference. Roundabouts are here. Roundabouts aren't really in the US, which is, I think, is a good thing. Because I mean, roundabouts, especially for new drivers, it's not something that you're going to enjoy doing and driving around, because it just, to the eye, it just looks quite daunting for against a new driver, etc. And I feel like that's where a lot of young drivers crash, etc. Because it's just like a bit overwhelming. But I might be wrong with that, but I assume there's probably a lot of collisions on roundabouts in the UK. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. It was a different one for sure, but I think it was quite cool to see the differences in driving in both countries, or I guess both countries, in Australia as well. But yeah, I mean, after watching this, I mean, again, the US is built for driving. It is a better, like, it makes more sense. And again, I know the UK is quite different in terms of driving on the right hand side, but yeah, it's just cool to see this video. I hope you enjoyed. More of these reactions on the way, and yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.